Welcome to the Candidate Forum put on by the League of Women Voters of Arlington Heights. My name is Maya Kasalovich, and I am from the League of Women Voters of Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, and the Buffalo Grove area. I'm also a member of our Emerging Leaders program and serve on our board of directors. If you used closed captioning, please turn it on via live transcript at the bottom of your screen next to the raised hands. Founded in 1920 out of the suffragette movement, giving women the right to vote, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Providing this forum allows citizens to become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are happy to provide this service for the community. To send in questions for the candidates, please text 224-306-9521 or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. I'll repeat 224-306-9521. All of the candidates today were contacted by email or phone prior to today. The candidates have agreed to abide by the ground rules provided by the League of Women Voters. They are as follows. Our moderator has drawn names for speaking order and will rotate this order during the forum for questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their introduction. Next, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer questions. At the end, each candidate will have a 2-minute closing. League members will act as timers. Candidates will be given a 30-second and 15-second warning, so we ask the candidates to quickly complete their thoughts before they see the stop card. Time limits will be enforced out of respect for all candidates. Questions will be provided by the audience. Each question will be answered by all candidates, so please, audience, only ask questions related to the office being sought. Again, we only use questions that can be answered by all candidates. Please send questions to 224-306-9521 or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. Questions will be reviewed by League volunteers for clarity, appropriateness, and to avoid duplication. Candidates have been asked not to interrupt one another. The moderator will repeat a question if asked. The candidates are to speak to the audience. I'd like to introduce our moderator for today's event, Louisa Zanin, also an emerging leader and junior at Prospect High School.
Thank you. We will now start our candidate forum. We ask that you bear with us and note that technology is what it is, and we are all working to ensure that this event runs as smoothly as possible. With me on screen, we have our candidates and our timer, League Board Member Nancy Jones. I would like to note that the Q&A chat has been disabled for all attendees, so if you would like to submit a question for the candidates, please text this number, 224-306-9521. or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. We will start this forum with Candidate Bull, candidate for the School District 57 Board. Candidates, please notice the timer. When you see a stop sign, you may finish your sentence. The candidates will be in the following order for 2 minutes opening statements. Bull will go first, Bennett Kill will go second, Kowalczyk will go third, Choke will go fourth, Hattenhauer will go fifth, and Chung will go last. Candidate Bull, please begin your 2-minute opening statement.
Great. Thank you to the League for putting this on, and I think it's awesome that you're allowing your young members to be so instrumental in such an important event. It's great. My name is Kevin Bull. I'm a father of 3 children, 8 and under, and a Mount Prospect homeowner since 2011. We had no connection to Mount Prospect prior to moving here. We moved here principally for 2 reasons. First, the schools, and second, proximity to the train. Shortly after moving to Mount Prospect, I was transferred to the Netherlands for my work, and a little over 3 years later, I got to make the decision of where to move once again. We chose to come back to our home in Mount Prospect and raise our young children here. The other candidates will shortly talk about their backgrounds in education. We already have this on our current board, and we have a district administration that, of course, also has this background. I offer something different. I have an undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Illinois, one of the top engineering schools in the country. I graduated magna cum laude from Loyola University Chicago School of Law. In my job as a patent attorney, I'm responsible for describing and presenting tremendously complicated inventions from world-renowned scientists to relative lay people, at the Patent Office and business decision makers. Additionally, I'm responsible for international technology transactions at my company. I'm a negotiator and lawyer capable of operating in an elaborate web of details and still able to close the deal. I decided to run for school board not only because the current board did an awful job managing the reopening of our schools, but because our board needs a healthy dose of the directness, urgency, and decisiveness that I believe I can provide. In the end, I'm a dad who wants the best for our students, the taxpayers, and our community. I think that I have a unique skill set that will be beneficial to our board, and I am ready to work hard with my fellow board members if given the opportunity on April 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Bull. Candidate Bennett Kill, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Corinne Bennett Kill, and I am seeking election to District 57 School Board. I would like to start by thanking the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to speak to you today, and I count it as a privilege to partake in this experience with my fellow candidates for school board, and I'm looking forward to sharing my views on the issues important to this community. In August of 2020, the school board voted to begin the 2021 school year fully remote. Although I believe this was the right decision to make, given the information available at the time, I was certainly concerned. Springtime remote learning had been challenging, to say the least. However, my family has been well situated to weather the vagaries of this unique school year. I am a stay-at-home parent, and my spouse is able to work remotely. As I spoke to friends who are differently situated, whether by professions that require in-person work, households with two working parents, or those who have children with different needs than mine, I began to realize the strain full remote was going to place on these families. I also noticed how little attention was being paid to their plight. I contacted my state and federal representatives to encourage them to look out for the interests of families newly on the margins, as well as those who have been on the fringes for some time. I was gratified by the responsiveness from my local representatives, and it felt wonderful to take some sort of action at a time when we have felt so powerless in so many ways. But beyond that feel-good moment, I came to understand that for my fortunate position, I can advocate for those who are not similar, support those who, because of time or circumstances, cannot directly add their own voices. It is that experience that is propelling me into my bid to represent this community as a school board member. I believe that all government decisions benefit from keeping the most vulnerable populations in the community foremost in mind. As a school board member, I will seek to bring this perspective into District 57's decision-making so that we may continue to create an inclusive and supportive learning environment for all our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Bennett Kill. Candidate Kowalczyk, you have the floor.
I would like to thank everyone for being here and allowing me to be a part of this forum. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for arranging this forum. My name is Eileen Kowalczyk, and I am running for my third term as a school member of the Mount Prospect District 57. I am a parent of 5 kids, 3 who have gone through D57 and 2 that are currently in D57. I originally ran for the school board to better understand the process of how school districts work and the relationship between the board, the district, and the community. What I learned is there's so much that goes into having a well-run district. The process of how curriculum is developed, piloted, and implemented with each subject and grade level. Also knowing the financial aspects of levies, budgeting, facilities, and staffing, and how the board is fiscally responsible to all stakeholders of our community. Most importantly, how students are at the forefront of every decision a school board and district makes. Our district was able to pass a referendum with community support so that we can maintain class sizes, to maintain our music and arts curriculum, and to do much needed improvements to our facilities. This past year, all districts have had to deal with COVID and the impact that it has had on all our learners. I know I've tried to make the learning environment for our kids at D57 to be safe and to provide our students with the best education possible. Many people say being on the board is a thankless job, but I don't believe that. There are so many things you learn and people you meet and get to know. I have been thankful to have been given this opportunity, and I hope to continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Kowalczyk. Candidate Choke.
Thank you so much to the League of Women Voters, the moderators. I really appreciate seeing students on this panel. I think that's a really cool thing to have. The audience that's here today and my fellow candidates for being here. It's inspiring to see so many people involved in local politics. Today, I want to share my passion for education, community, and building more equitable systems where all students can thrive. I've lived in Mount Prospect for the past 16 years with my husband, my 2 children, who are both at D57. And I have over 20 years of experience in education. And, you know, I think right now that experience in education is really important. I was a middle school social studies and English teacher for 15 years, where I truly helped my students find their voice and use their passion to make a difference in the world. I then switched to nonprofit, where I was a social emotional learning manager at a CPS high school for 5 years. And this really honed my abilities in organization-wide work through the coaching of teachers, counselors, and administrators. And there I really saw the importance of a student-centered approach and with a collaboration of all stakeholders to achieve successful learning, both academically and social emotionally. Today, I now work for the University of Chicago as the middle grades network coach for the To and Through project. There, it is really about taking research and putting it into action. And I coach 6 middle schools in CPS, helping them to build those more equitable systems. And in that work, we use both qualitative and quantitative data to define problems, to implement change, and to really support students. I also am very involved in the community. I serve on the board for A Better Life for Kids, working for educational opportunities in Ghana. And that is, the founder actually lives in Mount Prospect. I serve on the Educator Advisory Committee for the Illinois Holocaust Museum and the Community Engagement Committee here in Mount Prospect. Through all of these experiences, I've gained a wealth of knowledge around the current research, practices, and implementation of educational systems that lead to better outcomes for all students. I'm running for and would be proud to serve on the D57 school board because of my skills as a change agent and my commitment to quality education for all students.
Thank you, Candidate Choke. Candidate Hattenhauer, do you agree to the rules that were sent to you?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Also, can you see the timer?
No. If I'm running beyond time, though, you can cut me off.
All right. Candidate Hattenhauer, you will be next.
Okay. Now?
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Robert Hattenhauer. I've been a resident of Mount Prospect for over 8 years. I moved to District 57 around 2 years ago. I have 4 children. My oldest is 7, so I will have kids in these schools for the next 12 years. Even at one point, I will have them in Westbrook, Fairview, and Lincoln at the same time. My education, I am a Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Illinois at Chicago. I have 10 years of experience managing facilities and engineering projects. Last fall, I left manufacturing and to pursue a career in managing school facilities. My current role is Director of Buildings and Grounds at a local school district where we have 5 buildings in total. 3 are elementary schools, 1 is a junior high, and 1 is a elementary school that is now, we're not currently using it as that, we're using it as administration, and it's a Montessori school. But I am in charge of all 5 of those buildings, facilities, and capital projects. So I'm also a member of the Illinois Association of School Business Officials, and I've been working my way through their facilities operations training program. That I'll be scheduled to complete that as of April. Right now, through work, I have experience managing the bidding process for public bidding projects. Right now, I am, for this summer, we have 3 library renovations that I have bid out, and a traffic flow project where we are building a parking lot at one of our schools. So I am experienced managing some fairly large projects in a similar aspect. The reason I left manufacturing and went into schools was just a general interest in the overall impact that facilities have on a child's education. Even something as simple as having 2 different colored light bulbs in a classroom, whether it's 2700K or 5000K, can be seen as a distraction to students, and just it has an impact in the end, and a lot of people don't really realize that. So myself, I'm a visionary leader, and what I bring to the board is the ability to set goals and support our administration team in achieving those goals without micromanaging.
Thank you, Candidate Hattenhauer. Sorry, your time is up.
No,
Candidate Chung, you will be next.
Okay, so Good afternoon. Thank you so much again to the League of Women Voters for hosting this candidate forum, to our student volunteers, Maya and Luisa, and to all of you watching today. So my name is Vicky Chang, and I'm honored to be here as a candidate running for re-election to the District 57 School Board. My husband, Peter, and I have been Mount Prospect residents since 2004, and both of our sons attend District 57 schools. And so as a District 57 parent and community member and school board member, I'm deeply invested and involved in our schools and local community. So for example, I currently serve as the vice president of our school board, and for the past 4 years, I've been the secretary of our District 57 Education Foundation. I'm also one of the founding members of Mount Prospect's Community Engagement Committee, where I've served for the past 2 years. In addition, I have a PhD in Human Development and Social Policy from Northwestern School of Education and Social Policy. And I also have a master's in Social Service Administration and a bachelor's in English, both from the University of Chicago. So some of the things that I've tried to contribute these past 4 years as a school board member are a strong knowledge of education research and evaluation and best practices, combined with a love of Mount Prospect and our community and a desire to serve. And I will say that this past year has been very challenging for our district, and I think it will take some time to heal and repair the divide that currently exists within our community. But I am hopeful that I believe it can be done, and I would love to continue serving as one of your District 57 school board members. It would be my honor to work alongside our new superintendent and school board members to help heal the brokenness and continue to ensure that our district provides the best possible educational experience so that our students succeed in life. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Chung. Before we move on to our next question, I would like to remind the audience to send questions to 224-306-9521 or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. Our first question will be, the COVID pandemic has created division in our community, often leading to heated words in person or on social media. If elected, how will you bring the community together? Candidate Bennett Kill, you will be the first to answer the question.
Thank you for the question. This is an important one. My goal in being elected to school board is to provide for the future of our children as we move forward. There will certainly be a fallout with there will be an academic and social emotional aspect of the fallout from the last year of remote learning. I believe that the solution to that is a concerted and focused effort on building social emotional skills for our children, and also going out into our community and really getting in contact and asking about what the experiences families have had, so that we can, instead of seeking only to hear the voices that are the loudest, seek to hear all voices and all stakeholders.
Thank you, Candidate Bennett Kill. Candidate Kowalczyk.
Okay, thank you. We have, as a board, considered community engagement to be very crucial to what we do on the board. And we want community input into many of the things that we deal with, whether it's facilities and in this case, the pandemic. Part of the divisiveness is, has been how it's been led down to each school district being able to decide how they will go forward in what would be full in, hybrid, or remote. And with other school districts making different decisions than our school districts, it has been causing that divisiveness. And we just have to continue community engagement and bring the community back in, and to know that we do hear their voices, whether they were for it or not for it, full in, full remote, that we want their opinions. We look to what they want in what we are providing. So thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Kowalczyk. Candidate Choke?
So as I mentioned before, one of the things that I do is really think about how to put together qualitative and quantitative data. And I think we need to do a lot of qualitative data research right now. And so we need to do some focus groups with both parents and students and community members. We need to do surveying and we need to do some empathy interviews with voices that we don't always hear, because I think one of the issues that has happened over this last year is that there are a lot of people who feel comfortable reaching out to the school and having these conversations, and a lot of people who don't. And I think, to heal the divisiveness, we need to really make sure that we're hearing all voices and really listening to, there's kids who did really well during remote learning and kids who didn't. There's kids who have done well in school always and kids who haven't. And we need to really think about how to bring all those voices together to really support all learners. And communities need to feel, and the community itself needs to feel welcome, both in board meetings and in the schools. And we know that some do and some certainly don't. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you, Candidate Choke. Candidate Hattenhauer?
So my big thing is that I plan to actively listen to the community. There's people with different opinions, and I know that their opinion might not always be the same as mine, but I will still listen to them and support, to the best of my ability, their needs, especially their students' needs. I know that a lot of people during the pandemic on both sides felt that they weren't heard. And going forward, I would just make sure that everybody feels heard and that no email goes unanswered, and that we have open transparency to make sure that nobody feels censored.
30 seconds.
Thank you, Candidate Hattenhauer. Candidate Chung, your answer?
Would you mind repeating the question, please?
Sure. The question was, sorry, I just need to scroll up in my chat. The COVID pandemic has created a division in our community, often leading to heated words in person or on social media. If elected, how will you help bring the community together?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for repeating it. So as I mentioned in my opening statement, there is a divide. I think there is a divide within the community or within segments of the community, and there is a divide, I feel, within or between the school board and the community. I've talked to many community members who feel like that their trust hasn't been broken. They feel that they haven't been heard. They feel like their voices are being forgotten or not valued, or they feel like when they do come before the board that we're discounting them, or we just come with our own idea. So all of that is a big issue in our community that we need to address right away. So in terms of one idea that could possibly happen, we could have maybe office hours between a member of administration and the school board member. So they could be both virtual or in person, where community members can come by, drop in, and just have that interactive conversation, because I think communication will go a long way for allowing our community to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Chung. Candidate Bull, your answer?
Yes, thanks for the question. Yeah, I agree that the board could do a much better job of how it incorporates community input into our decision making, and then how we really position the voice of the community when the board is assessing an issue. For instance, our board loves sending out surveys, and Member May, an outgoing board member, has done a great job ensuring that the district tries to ask more meaningful survey questions. But these survey questions are often not actionable. So people just feeling that I'm responding to all these surveys and my voice is never really heard. Echoing Candidate Chung's comments, that dialogue with the board is critical. I feel like the simple quarterly or monthly coffee with the board just to get a dialogue going could really go a long way. So can simple pulse surveys just to gauge community feelings on ongoing matters. And lastly, just requiring the district to present their key decision points to the community a little earlier so the community can digest the content, raise questions, and provide feedback. And I really think community support is vital to the success of a school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Bull. Our next question is, There is good reason to believe that this board will be very divided after this election. What will you do to build bridges with each other, with other board members, so you can work together successfully? Candidate Kowalczyk, you will be the first to answer this question.
I personally think that every board member goes into it with the best intentions. And if I were with someone who has different viewpoints, those different viewpoints, I want to hear them. We all have differing opinions. We might also vote differently, but I would be respectful and thoughtful in how you present it. And each person is one vote, and they bring with them information, background, things that they bring forward with what they want to present, with how they want to vote. And I will take that with respect, and I will listen to my fellow board members.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Candidate Kowalczyk. Candidate Choke, your answer?
Thank you for this question. I think the thing that we need to do as a board, regardless of who gets elected, is do some sort of, true board retreat around, values, around community building, around really talking about what is it that we value as a board and how are we going to bring that into our decision making. I think we need to really listen to one another, like we, have said all along that we need to do with the community, right? If we are forming a new board, we need to go through the same process that all new groups go through, right? You need to create norms. You need to create a space where people feel like they are valued and heard. You need to do all of those pieces in order to create a space where people feel like they can share their opinions and know that they will be heard, valued, and acted on. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Choke. Candidate Hattenhauer, you have the floor.
So I don't think it is a good thing if everybody agrees all the time. Conflict, when properly managed, is healthy, and it leads to the most creative solutions for problems. Without conflict, you wouldn't have any problems to solve, but creative problem solving is one of my strong points. And in order to solve any problem too, you must be able to listen and understand the other side. So I'm not stubborn by any means, and if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to admit that I'm wrong, and I have no problem admitting to my failures. But I think that in the end, that everybody will be able to work together and for the benefit of our kids.
Thank you, Candidate Hattenhauer. Candidate Chung, your answer?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I wanted to expand a little bit. I agree with candidate Hattenhauer. I think the strength of any good board is in its diversity. You want people who have different backgrounds and perspectives and beliefs, because you don't want to have a 7-0 board decision like weeks after weeks after weeks. You do want to have that dialogue where people have like differing opinions and then just can express it in a way that's respectful and that's listening to it. We're listening to each other and hearing it. So in some ways, I think it's exciting that we could have a board where we actually do have a board where people have a diversity of opinions. And I hope that we continue to have that. It's like a little microcosm of our larger community. Our larger community, as we've really seen this year, do have differing perspectives. And it's great to have a board that represents that. So I do think, with whoever is on the board, that we can treat each other with respect. We can hear it and listen to one another, because that's what we want from community members as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Chung. Candidate Bull, your answer?
Yes, I think it's important to be respectful, certainly, and to hear the opinions of others, but also being critical and direct is not evidence automatically a lack of respect. The board needs to really understand and hear and incorporate the feedback. And I have a lot of experience trying to convince others that disagree. You got to give the benefit to the other people, especially in impassioned conversations. And there's a lot of impassioned conversations going on now, and there will be during the next 4 years. We also need to quickly work to find where we have some common ground move past our differences and admit when we're wrong, and really just seek to come to a decision that is to the best benefit of our community and the students. And I think that needs to be the guiding light for which all decisions are made. And I think that will really help smooth out any differences with the board if we keep our eye on what's really important, which is the taxpayers and the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Bull. Candidate Bennett-Kill, your answer?
Thank you for this question. I believe that at the base of each one of my fellow candidates is a love of community and a love of their children. We want, in the end, the same thing, regardless of the positions that we're starting from. So one of the strengths that I would bring to the position of a board member is an ability to ask questions and to keep an open mind. That is something that I think is incredibly valuable, because without asking questions, without listening to responses, without taking in another person's differing experience, we are going to miss out on the richness of information that each individual brings to the board. So I think that willingness to listen and to ask questions and to really absorb that information is a strength that I bring. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Bennett-Kill. Our next question is, what are your thoughts on the culturally responsive teaching and learning and leading standards? Sorry, let me repeat that. What are your thoughts on the culturally responsive teaching and leading standards? Candidate Choke, you will be the first to answer this question.
So as a former teacher, I think these standards are super important. I think one of the things that I believe in kind of that diversity, equity, inclusion conversation is around the idea of students really needing mirrors, windows, and doors, right? The mirrors to be able to see themselves in the curriculum, to be able to see, the things that they do, the things that they believe, but also then to see out a window, to be able to see the different cultures and different ideas than what they believe. And then the sliding doors to be able to have some experiences that are outside of the school, and really being able to go out and see different experiences. And I think that these standards are what really bring that into action, right? And really allow kids to be able to understand the world outside themselves, to really feel like they belong in a community, and to really feel like they're understood and heard.
Thank you, Candidate Choke. Candidate Hattenhauer?
So I'll be the first to admit that I don't have firsthand experience with these standards, but it does sound like there's a lot of people in the community that do, and I would definitely lean on them as well as my fellow board members to kind of dig into that and educate myself on it, and make proper decisions. As far as diversity goes, on my core values as a human being, I treat everybody with dignity and respect, and I raised my children to do that, and just to kind of look at everything with an open window. And I believe that the schools are doing a good job right now as far as education and our children. I know that they've had different, my son's been learning about different holidays at Westbrook and telling me different stuff that he's learning at school. So I look forward to continuing that on and seeing what the future brings.
Thank you, Candidate Hattenhauer. Candidate Chung, your answer?
Yes. So I will say that our district is planning to incorporate and implement culturally responsive standards into our subject areas over the next couple of years. So you will see that being rolled out. And I agree with my fellow candidates. I think diversity, equity, and inclusion are so important. I think that as individuals and as a school district, we need to take a strong stand supporting DEI. There are a lot of ways that DEI can be incorporated into our schools. We've talked about curriculum, right? You can just even reading books, like diverse books that represent different cultures or different viewpoints. Teachers can just emphasize the importance of kindness and tolerance in their classrooms. We can certainly reach out to our parent community to make sure that they feel included and valued. And we can reach out to groups that often feel marginalized, such as, perhaps ELL learners and families who are dealing with a language barrier. So so I'm excited to see, I'm excited to see the changes coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Chung. Candidate Bull, your answer?
Yeah, of course, some of what the standards try to do is inculcate things that are critical to a successful school district, like treating others with respect and equally, of course. But the standards in practice might be a bit different, right? And I am a staunch supporter of freedom of speech and the freedom of association under our First Amendment. With freedom of speech comes the right of academic freedom, both of the teacher to teach and of a student to learn. And we need to cultivate this freedom of inquiry in our students, especially on areas that may be politically sensitive. And this freedom of inquiry is really essential to raising a successful student capable of critical thinking. And so there's going to be a very high bar on the individual freedoms that these implementation of these standards must clear. And like most behavior potentially impacting the First Amendment, it's going to depend how it's actually done in practice, especially since towards the end of the approval process, various words were being changed and politicians sharply disagreeing on the impact of those changes. And so I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to our teachers and administrators, and I hope they apply them in a way that respects everyone's rights. But if they don't, then the board needs to operate quickly to protect the district from costly First Amendment litigation.
Thank you, Candidate Bull. Candidate Bennett Kill, I'm sorry.
Thanks for the question. One of the things that is critical for our students to learn is empathy for those who have a different lived experience than them. One of the goals of these new standards is to bring access to different lived experiences from people outside of our community. We are a relatively homogenous community, although that we do have large populations of new immigrants and various ethnicities. We are primarily a white community. And what that means is that doing culturally responsive education takes our students out into the world so that they may then take those experiences and the viewpoints of others into their own lives and help them be more confident, empathetic, and willing to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Bennett Kill. Candidate Kowalczyk?
Okay. Yeah, for the culturally responsive standards, as Vicky is stated, that we are going to be incorporating that into our curriculum, and it needs to be integrated into our curriculum because diversity, equity, inclusion are very important to us as a school board, schools, and as a community. Kids need to feel welcome, whatever walk of life that they come from. So I'm glad that they are incorporating this, and it's teaching our kids to be more globally aware, more culturally aware, and aware of where other people come from and their experiences in life. So it's a good step forward, and we hope to continue to go that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Kowalczyk. Our next question will be, if elected, will you complete what was started years ago, namely combining school districts to save money and provide a wider range of instruction for our students? Candidate Hattenhauer, you will go first.
Can you clarify the question? You mentioned combining school districts?
Yeah, do you want me to read it again?
If you don't mind. Are you talking about combining, as in, joining forces with another district to become one school district?
I'm not entirely sure. I'll just read the question over again. If elected, will you complete what was started years ago, namely combining school districts to save money and provide a wider range of instruction for our students?
I mean, I'm honestly not familiar, and the question is not specific enough to talk about which district we're combining with. I know that there was talk in the past about that, and it's also on that long-term plan from the district as far as future plans. They have that listed as one of the concepts on there, but I don't have enough background on it to answer that question fully, but I would definitely be willing to review the options. But I mean, my personal opinion about looking at it is, that's not one of my priorities at this time.
Thank you, candidate Hattenhauer. Candidate Chung, your answer?
Yes. So candidate Hattenhauer mentioned that school consolidation is something that is on our, it's like a long-term on our plan, so something that we would consider, but not something in the short term. I would say so. School consolidation is a big issue, and it's a long process. So when we were going through the referendum, we did reach out to certain neighboring school districts to see if they would be at all interested in consolidating with us. And I think all the districts that we reached out to politely declined. So even if, our school district badly wanted to consolidate with another district, there has to be another district to want to go to combine with us. And in addition, it's a referendum question. So it's not like the school board could just, arbitrarily decide that it would need to go, obviously, to the voters as well. So it is something that I would consider and would be open to considering.
Thank you, candidate Chung. Candidate Bull, your response?
Yeah, so District 57 has clear limitations in scale and tax base. And we need to certainly make decisions based on taking into account the value our school district provides for our taxpayers and the long-term financial health of our district. And obviously there are benefits to having a district with greater scale than what we have currently. We have a fairly low cap on obviously tax base that we can achieve. But also the reason of having a small district is serving the community very locally. And we could potentially lose that by moving in with a bigger district. And I would need to consider any specific opportunity as it presents itself. But I'm focused right now on making District 57 the best it can be in its current form.
Thank you, candidate Bull. Candidate Bennett-Kill, your response?
Thank you. I think that our district would actually be better served focusing right now in the short term on our recovery from the year of the pandemic. Although school consolidation would be something that I would be open to learning about and to having on our future agenda, it is something that is relatively far out into the future. And we have much more pressing matters to discuss and deal with in this next 4-year term. The well-being of our kids in the short term, I think, is the more pressing issue. So I would say, again, open to continued conversations about that, but that there are different priorities at this point.
Thank you, candidate Bennett-Kill. Candidate Kowalczyk?
Hi. This consolidation was a pre-referendum and a if referendum did not pass kind of conversation and how it kind of got started. And as Vicky stated, we reached out to these other districts who declined, and that is part of the process. We would have to have another district willing to consolidate with us. It would also have to be very community driven, and it would have to pass through a referendum in order for us to consolidate that. It is a long-term strategic plan if, as years go down the road, and that is something that we need to consider, look into, and see if other districts would be willing to do it, but it would only be within a neighboring district. You can't, expand beyond, your borders. But I would like to consider our District 57 as our small district that I'd like to maintain as it is. But consolidation is definitely community driven, the only way that it could be done. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Kowalczyk. Candidate Choke, your answer?
I think I agree with candidate Bennett-Kill with really thinking about how are we serving our students best right now. And I think, consolidation is relatively low on my list. I think, we really do have to think about the social emotional learning of our students and their health there. I think we need to think about which students are furthest away from educational justice at the moment in academics and how do we best support them. On the consolidation front, though, I mean, if it's something that we need to look into, I mean, we really do need to do a feasibility study of, are there other districts that would be a good fit for our students, right? Like to be able to combine with. It can't just be the district that most wants to join with us. It would have to be something that would really serve our students well. And I think we need to think about other more creative ways without consolidating potentially, about how do we potentially share resources with other districts, or are there other ways to do that without actually consolidating with another district? Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Choke. We will now move on to our closing statements. Candidate Chung, you will be first. You will have 2 minutes to do your closing statement.
All right, thank you. Yes, so thank you again to the League of Women Voters for hosting this candidate forum. To you, Louisa and Maya, for our student volunteers, and to everyone watching. So as I look at the issues that our district is facing, all while navigating this pandemic and trying to provide the best possible education to our students, both in person and remote. So one question that comes to my mind is, given limited resources, how can we best enhance our children's education and success in life? And so we need to ensure that students who want to attend school full-time in person are able to do so. And we also need to ensure that students who cannot attend school full-time in person are participating in a strong remote learning program that meets their needs. We need to continue to support our outstanding teachers and staff. We need to make sure that we have the kind of school atmosphere and environment where every child feels respected and safe and included. Of course, we need to make the most of our limited budget, and we need to involve and actively engage all members of our community. So that's our parents, our students, our families, teachers and staff, and of course, our community members. So as a board member, I will continue to work to carefully steward our district's financial resources while doing everything I can to ensure that all the students in District 57 receive an outstanding education and are prepared to succeed in high school and beyond. So if I am reelected, it would be my privilege to represent you, and I hope to have your vote on April 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Chung. Candidate Bull.
Yes, thank you very much to the League for this forum, and to our young hosts today that did an excellent job. Like the League, I'm going to use this time to encourage participation in our local elections. In this district, we have a new superintendent. She was an internal hire from our current administration after $18,000 was spent on an outside search firm by our board. It was that administration that was presenting a hybrid return plan for approval of the board with no notice or comment for the community, and against the wishes of a community that was surveyed for either full remote or full in-person options. It was that administration that couldn't plan sufficiently to get the kids back on the originally planned date of October 19th, causing the date to be pushed back and then postponed until 2021 due to the totally predictable situation that infections would increase as we move closer to winter. And it was that administration that then conveniently began advocating for children to return to school as the election approached. And it was our current board that was complicit in all of this. As Member May said at the February board meeting, the board failed the children and the community. So some of you watching might be thinking that things are going back to normal, that the kids will return to school about a month from now, and this is all almost over and we can put it behind us. So why vote in the school board election? Why does this really matter? There's an expression for this. It's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So go vote, hold the administration and the board accountable for the failures of the past year, and elect someone with a diverse perspective that will protect the taxpayers and students and improve the value of our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Bull. Candidate Bennett-Kill.
Thank you both to our moderator and to the League of Women Voters for this forum and for the opportunity to share my vision for our school district. First and foremost, I am a parent. As a school board member, I will bring the love and care I give my two sons to the children of our wider District 57 community. I believe that the school board has an obligation to serve all members of the community. Now, I aim to bring my commitment to public service, transparency, and willingness to reconcile competing viewpoints to the role of school board member. I have long wanted to serve my community, and the challenges we have all been experiencing this past year have shown me that now is the time to heed this call. If I am fortunate enough to be elected as a school board member, I will work to the best of my abilities to continue to move our district towards excellence and equity for all of our children. And I look forward to your vote on April 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Bennett Kill. Candidate Kowalczyk?
Thank you again for League of Women Voters for this opportunity to participate in this forum, and for the moderator, thank you, and all the questions. The issues that the school district will be facing in the next few years are dealing with the pandemic and any fallout from any academic or social and emotional challenges that we as a school district have to deal with. We need to continue with community engagement and to make sure that the community feels heard. We also will be negotiating for a new teacher's contract this year. I personally have felt very privileged to have served the D57 community and to be on the school district. And I hope that people will please vote to re-elect me as a school board member for District 57 on April 6th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidate Kowalczyk. Candidate Choke?
Thank you so much to the League of Women Voters, to these wonderful emerging leaders, to the audience, to my fellow candidates for this conversation. I am grateful to have this opportunity to be here today. At the center of my campaign is really being student-centered, the idea of educational equity, community, and really thinking about community-driven work with a focus on social emotional learning, civic engagement, and academic success. We need to think about what has been learned over this past year and what we need to incorporate to really re-envision education. We cannot and we should not return to a normal that wasn't working for everyone. We do need to have a strong, 5-day option for the fall, which I'm sure most people will be in, but we also really need to think about that strong remote learning option, that people have had success with, including my own family in this year. And how do we make sure that everybody feels safe in school? We really do need to think about students as the center of our decision making. We need to think about post-secondary success and what it looks like for our students. So not just the K-8 part, but what does it mean to set them up for success in high school and beyond? We need to really worry about listening to all voices. All voices are not being heard right now. And we've heard that through this entire conversation. And we need to figure out as a community and as a school board and as schools how to make sure that the community feels welcome, that parents feel welcome, and that students are able to see themselves in their curriculum, in their school, and in the community itself. I am asking for your vote on April 6th, and I really look forward to representing you and working towards the best education for all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Choke. Candidate Hattenhauer, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you again for the opportunity to be here today and to speak with you. When you go out and vote on April 6th, first of all, please do go out and vote. Second, please think beyond just the pandemic. I know there's been a lot of focus on the way the pandemic has been handled, but I'd like you to think about the candidates that will be able to provide the most for your children for the next 4 years. Just some key issues I'll quickly go over that would be my priority. First, I'd like to support the rollout of the in-person instruction full day for the remainder of the school year, as well as make sure that the remote families don't lose any quality of that education that their children have been getting this entire time. I also would support investment in our schools to take care of some of the deferred maintenance on the facilities master plan that has been left out. Going forward, I would encourage a review of the before and after school care options at Westbrook. I know there's been talk about going full day kindergarten, but I believe a review of the before and after care program that would provide an affordable and convenient opportunity for working families would alleviate some of those demands for the full day option. Finally, I'd like to bring the fun aspect of learning, the play, back to the kindergarten classrooms and just kind of see a revamp in that program. As well as if there were any needs to make cuts in the future, I'm 100% against cutting art and music. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Hattenhauer. Thank you to all candidates for attending this candidate forum. I will now return to our MC, Maya.
Thank you to Louisa for being our moderator. Please make sure to register to vote. Make your plan to vote and then make sure your voice is counted this election day. Need help? League of Women Voters, Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, Buffalo Grove is here. Check out our website at www.lwvah.org for voter registration information. Yes, you can register online. Mail-in vote information, planning your ballot, as well as your early and day of polling locations. Again, check us out at www.lwvah.org and follow us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We even have accounts specifically for youth at student.lwvah and a mascot at Pause for Votes. And make sure once you're ready to vote, you tell 10 friends where they can find all the information they need to be counted. www.lwvah.org. We are grateful to you all for joining us and to our candidates. Our democracy relies on citizens willing to run for office, and to all the volunteers of our league who worked tirelessly to bring you this free program. Have a great day.